Hello grade 9 students! It is another artistic day waiting for us. Are you excited for a colorful discussion today? Great! I am Sir Harold, your arts teacher, and I will be your guide for today's lesson. But before we start, let us first be reminded with the protocols to follow during the live streaming class.
Protocols to follow during the live streaming class. Respect everyone. Agree to recognize and abide the protocols in the live stream and respect the feelings, rights, or traditions of each and every one. No hate speech. Do not express or discourage violence towards a person or group based on something such as race, religion, sex, or sexual orientation. Be guided with the anti-cyberbullying law. Make sure that everyone feels safe. Bullying of any kind isn't allowed, and regarding comments about things such as race, religion, culture, sexual orientation, gender, or identity will not be tolerated. No promotion of products or items. Give more to this group than you take. Selling of products, self-promotion, spam, and irrelevant links aren't allowed. Use appropriate words in giving suggestions, comments, and queries. We're all in this together to create a welcoming environment. Let's treat everyone with respect. Healthy debates are natural, but kindness is required. After the FB live streaming, attend discussion class in the FB Messenger classroom with the subject teacher. Maximize the features of FB Messenger to be used in FB Messenger classrooms such as text chat, audio calls, video rooms, and multiple screen sharing.
I hope everyone will be guided by the protocols for us to maintain order during our session. So allow me to give you the competency that you are about to learn with this video. At the end of the lesson, you are expected to
analyze the art elements and principles in the productions of work following the style of a Western and classical art. Identify distinct characteristics of arts during the different art periods. Reflect on and derives the mood, idea, or message from selected artworks. Discuss the use or function of artworks by evaluating their utilization and combination of art elements and principles. Use artworks to derive the traditions or history of an art. And lastly, compare the characteristic of artworks produced in the different art.
Before you get fully excited, you may want to participate in a short activity by typing your answer to each number in our comment section. This activity is entitled, I Belong. In this activity, you will classify the different artworks or pictures based on the period or era they belong by putting the letters on the table. Are you ready? Letter A, Cave of Lascaux. You have 5 seconds to answer. If your answer is number 1 or prehistoric, you are correct. Letter B, Calyx crater or mixing bowl. If your answer is number 3 or Greek, that is right. Letter C, Enthroned Madonna and Child. You have 5 seconds to answer. If your answer is number 5 or Byzantine, you are also right. Letter D. Paintings from the sarcophagus of Tutankhamun. Your timer starts now. If your answer is number 2 or Egyptian, you are doing great. Letter E. Head of Alexander. If your answer is number 4 or Roman, that is correct. Letter F. Rose window. You have 5 seconds to answer. If your answer is number 7 or Gothic, you are indeed doing right decision. Letter G. The Morgan Lift. If your answer is number 6 or Romanesque, affirmative! You got it right! And last letter, letter H, Aphrodite in fresco. You have 5 seconds to answer. If your answer is number 4 or Roman, you are certainly correct. Let us now answer the following questions based on our activity a while ago, which is I belong. Type your answer on the comment section or directly on your module. Number 1. How do you classify the different artworks in their respective periods? What is your basis of classification for number 2 question? You have 30 seconds to answer and your timer starts now. Wow! That's a good way of having a basis in classifying an art form based on their period. Good job! But before we proceed with our lesson, let us remember and have a recap on the different elements and principles of arts and designs.
Elements of arts. Line is mark drawn by a tool such as a pencil, pen, or paintbrush as it moves across a surface. Shape is created when a line becomes connected in enclosed space. It is the outline or outward appearance of something. Form is a shape that has become three-dimensional. Form has height, width, and depth, which is the third dimension. Depth shows the thickness of the object, and forms are not flat like shapes. Color can add interest and reality to artwork. The use of a 12-step color wheel will help us understand color more effectively. When light is reflected through a prism, colors can be seen. Value is the lightness or darkness of color. Value makes objects appear more real because it imitates natural light. When showing value in a work of art, you will need a light source. Texture is a way of surface of an object feels in the artistic world. We refer to types of texture such as tactile and implied. Space is a distance around between above, below, and within an object. Principles of arts and design. Balance is the way of the elements are arranged to create a feeling of stability in a work. Emphasis is the focal point of an image or when one area or thing stand out the most. Contrast is a large difference between two things to create interest and tension. Rhythm and movement is a regular repetition of elements to produce the look and feel of movement. Pattern and repetition is literally a repetition of a design. Unity is when all the elements and principles work together to create a pleasing image. Variety is the use of differences and change to increase the visual interest of the work. And lastly, we have proportion, is the comparative relationship of one part to another with respect to size, quantity, or degree, or the what we call scale.
Now that we've finished recalling the elements and principles of art, let us have an exercise called Examine Me. By looking on the picture, analyze what are the different elements and principles of arts and design were manifested and answer the following question. Number 1. What elements and principles of art are manifested on the picture? Number 2. How does the elements of arts and principle of arts affect the artwork? You have 1 minute to answer. Now, let's examine the picture and answer the question. First question. What elements and principles of arts are manifested on the picture? We can see lines that creates the figure of the animal and of course the texture, which is the wall and ceiling of the cave that serve as a huge canvas. We can also see proportion in terms of the sizes of the animals painted on the wall and the ceiling of the cave. Second question. How does these elements and principles of arts affected the artwork? The principles of arts and the elements of arts are used to create an effect and to help convey the artist's intent or the message of an artwork. I think you are now equipped in analyzing art elements and principles of arts and design in an artwork. We can now have our discussion, which is the different characteristics, functions, and types of art forms such as painting, sculpture, and architecture from the different period of the Western classical arts. But for now, we will focus on the art form which is painting, and we will discover how they develop in every period. Let's start with the paintings of the ancient era, and under this era, we have the prehistoric era and the Egyptian era. Prehistoric era includes all human existence before the emergence of writing. Their arts is of interest not only to the art historians but also to archaeologists and anthropologists, for whom the art is the only one clue, along with fossils, pollens, and other finds to an understanding of early human life and culture. Paintings from the prehistoric era were found inside the caves, which may have been their way of communicating with each other. It may also be for religious or ceremonial purposes. Maybe more an artifact of the archaeological evidence than a true picture of humans' first created art. Prehistoric drawing of animals were usually correct in proportion. Cave of Lascaux in 15,000 to 10,000 before Christ to Stone Age is an example of painting during the prehistoric era. Dominant features in the painting were large animals native in their region. Discovered on 12th day of September 1940 and given statutory historic monument protection. The painting has nearly 2,000 figures composed mainly of animals, human figures, and abstract design. Some sections have been identified inside the cave, such as the Great Hall of the Bull, the lateral passage, the shaft of the dead man, the chamber of engravings, the painted gallery, and the chamber of felons. Let's now proceed on the paintings from ancient Egypt. The purpose of Egyptian paintings is to make the deceased afterlife place pleasant. Themes include journey to the underworld, introducing the deceased to the gods of the underworld by their protective deities. It emphasizes the importance of life after death and the preservation of the knowledge of the past. Most paintings were highly stylized, symbolic, and shows profile view of an animal or a person. The main colors used were red, black, blue, gold, and green, taken derived from mineral pigments that can withstand strong sunlight without fading. Paintings from the sarcophagus of Tutankhamun is an example of paintings during the ancient Egypt. The paintings of the walls on the tomb shows events of the life of the king while he was still on earth and the scenes he expects to encounter in the underworld after his death. Let us now proceed to the paintings of the classical era. And under this era, we have the Greek era and the Romantic era.
Paintings from the classical Greek era were most found in vases, panels, and tombs. It depicts the natural figures with a dynamic composition. Most of the subjects were battle scene, mythological figures, and everyday scenes. It reveals a grasp of linear perspective and naturalist representation. Most common methods of Greek painting. We have fresco and encaustic. Fresco is a method of painting water-based pigments on a freshly applied plaster, usually on a wall surface. Colors are made with grind powder pigments in pure water, dry and set with the plaster to become a permanent part of the wall. Ideal for murals, durable, and has a matte style. Encaustic, on the other hand, is developed to use by Greek shipbuilders who use the hot wax to fill the cracks of the ship. Soon, pigments or colors was added and used to paint a wax hull. Vase painting. Kirch tile or kirch vases are red-figured pottery named after the place where it was found. Shapes commonly found are pilike, which is a wine container, lekanis, a low bowl with the two horizontal handles and a low-board foot. Leves gamicos, with high handles and lid used to carry a bridal bath. A crater, which is a bowl using for mixing wine and water. Most common motifs are scenes from the life of a woman, which is often exaggeratedly idyllic. Mythological beings that were popular among the people of the Black Sea, or a scene from a mythical story or event. Polychromic is a technique used in vase painting, which is a combination of different colors, especially the brilliant one in the artistic manner. Another example of a vase painting is Judgment of Paris. Panel painting. There are paintings on flat panels of wood. It can be either a small, single piece, or several panels joined. Most of the panel paintings are no longer exist because of its organic composition. The earliest known panel painting is the pizza panel in archaic period between 540 and 530 before Christ era. Tomb or wall painting was very popular during the classical period. It uses the method of fresco, either tempera or water-based, or encaustic or wax. It has a sharp, flatly outlined style of painting, and because it uses water-based material, very few samples survive. Artists rely on the shade of use of paint to create depth to lifelike feeling. Example of this is Tomb of the Diver Paestum in 480 BCE. This is the image was painted using the through fresco technique with a limestone mortar. It depicts a symposium scene on the wall. Paintings from the Romantic era were copied or imitated from Hellenic Greek paintings. Fresco technique was used in brightly colored backgrounds, division of the wall into a multiple rectangular area or tic-tac-toe design, multi-point perspective, and a trompe-l'oeil effect. Roman painting have a wide variety of subjects: animals, everyday life, still life, mythological subjects, portraits, and landscapes. The development of the landscape painting is the main innovation of Roman painting from Greek painting. Mosaic. This is an art process where an image is created using the assemblage of small pieces of colored glass, stones, or other materials. This technique uses for decorative art or interior decorations. Example of this is the head of Alexander. The full image is a Roman floor mosaic in the house of Fan Pompey, dated 100 BC, and the whole mosaic depicts the battle between the armies of Alexander the Great and Darius III of Persia. Fresco from the Villa Mystery in Pompeii in 18 BC and Bosco Trescase in Pompeii.
And lastly, we have the paintings from the medieval era. And under this period or era, we have the Byzantine era, the Romanesque era, and the Gothic era.
Byzantine painting. The lively styles of paintings which had been invented in Greek and Rome lived on in Byzantium, but this time for Christian subjects. By the 11th century, the Greek and Oriental styles seemed to blend in magnificent, imposing images which adorned the churches in large and small forms. The court of Empress Theodora, which is a mosaic in 16th century AD, at San Vitale, Ravenna. Theodora was Asian queen with dark eyes and hair with fierce expression. Romanesque painting. These are largely placed mosaics on the walls of the churches that follows a strict frontal pose. It has a remarkable variety of artistic traditions such as modeling and treatment of faces in drapestries that follow Byzantine convention, while the refreshingly decorative feeling comes from southern French styles. Shows traces of Mozarabic influence, which is Arabized influence, through elongated oval face, large staring eyes, and long noses. Figures against flat colored bands and heavy outlining. Christ the Majesty is a painting from the Church of Saint Clemente, Tahul, Lerida, Spain. Christ wears a grayish white robe with a blue mantle. Underneath the mandorla, which is an Italian word for almond in painting, it is used to describe an enclosure surrounding holy figures. It is a black band with white writing. Each side of the center window are 3 arches resting on columns of capitals in green, red, and black in between of figures of Virgin Mary, and 5 saints are columns with wavy line patterns going vertically. This mural painting has been moved to Barcelona and placed under paintings from Gothic era. Paintings have been confined in the illumination of manuscript pages and the painting of frescoes on the walls of churches in cosmopolitan styles, elegant-mannered and sophisticated. Lady in Unicorn, Tapestry, 1506-1513. Subjects usually depicts popular legends and love stories. Patterns like Millefleur or A Thousand Flowers show influence which may have been due to the Crusades. Rose window from the north transept about 1230. Stained glass windows were created to transform the vast stone interior with warm and glowing color, and at the same time with the instruction of Christian in their faith. The Shepherd David, 13th century. This is a painting shows some realistic details and shows native naturalism.
And those are the different painting art forms from the different periods of the Western Classical era. To test your knowledge of understanding on the paintings of the Western Classical art, let's have an activity called I Know Them So Well. You will fill in the blanks with the characteristic and functions that would best describe the painting in every era or period. Let's do this!
Here are the following answers.
Quiz time! Let us now check your knowledge on the things that you have learned by answering the following question. Test 1. Identify what art period was being described in each number. Number 1. Their paintings were found inside the cave. Number 2. The emphasis of their arts depicts the importance of life after death. Number 3. The court of Empress Eudora, a mosaic, is an example of artwork from this period. Test 2. Multiple choice. Write the letter of the correct answer. Number 4. It is a method of painting water-based pigments on a freshly applied plaster and usually on a wool surface. Letter A. Encaustic. B. Fresco. C. Acrylic. Or letter D. Trompe-l'oeil. Number 5. It is a method of applying pigments mixed with beeswax and fixed with heat after its application. Letter A. Encaustic. B. Fresco. C. Acrylic. Or D. Trompe-l'oeil. Number 6. An art process where you create an image using an assemblage of small pieces of colored glass, stones, or other materials. Letter A. Stained glass. Letter B. Collage. Letter C. Mosaic. Or letter D. Trompe-l'oeil. Number 7. It is a colored glass used to form decorative or pictorial design. A. Encaustic. B. Mosaic. C. Stained glass. Or letter D. Collage. For test 3, we have matching type. Match column A with column B. For column A, we have the following artworks. Number 8, rose window. Number 9, paintings from the Cave of Lascaux. Number 10, pizza panel painting. Number 11, fresco from the Villa of Mysteries. And number 12, paintings from the sarcophagus of Tutankhamen. For column B, we have the period or era. Letter A, prehistoric. Letter B, ancient Egypt. Letter C, Greek classical. Letter D, Roman classical. Letter E, Romanesque. Letter F, Byzantine. And letter G, Gothic. You may now start answering. And here are the following answer. Did you get all the answers correctly? I do hope so. Now, let us complete the following statement for us to sum up the lesson we have learned today. I have learned that the different characteristics and functions of the different painting art form in ancient era are for prehistoric and for Egyptian. Another, I also learned that the different characteristics and functions of the different painting art forms in classical era are for Greek era and for Roman era. And lastly, I learned that the different characteristics and functions of the different painting art forms in medieval era are for Byzantine, Romanesque, and Gothic. You are going to submit your answer to your MAPE teacher. Once again, this is Sir Harold, your arts teacher, and always remember, art is fun, but most importantly, it tells us what kind of life we have before, and also it is a way of preserving our culture. Stay safe, everyone! Have a good day, and see you in the next one.